is Sky News host Paul Murray. Paul, you've spent a few days in Texas. You've been talking to the locals at college football games. I saw you ride a Texas Longhorn at the Fort Worth Stockyards, but now you are in swampland, deep in the swamp in Washington, D.C. Do you feel like you've been to two different countries going from Texas to D.C.?
100%. Firstly, my Persian princess, this country loves you. I have met so many people who say, the lady on the YouTube, Rita, and I said, yeah, she's just as good as you think you are. So you're a star at home and you're a star here, no question. And I know how much you love Texas. You're right, it is two countries. And, you know, I'm always sort of bored of people in the media going, America's a really divided country. It's like, yeah, they had a civil war. America's never been more polarised. Does anyone remember the year 2000 election or the 1960 election? There are two Americas. There's the America of New York and LA and Washington, D.C. that very much wants to be sort of this international faux European place. And then there's the place that I think most Australians get excited about, and that is the people of Texas, the dirt of the middle of the country, incredibly polite people of the South. And that's really, in many ways, the titanic fight that's been going on for 8 years. And from our perspective, hopefully, the greatest return in political history could just be hours away. Incredible where we were 4 years ago to where Trump might be by the end of the next day.
Just going to be an extraordinary few days. Let's hope we get a result quickly. That's my greatest hope. But before we take a thorough look at the polls, particularly in those crucial swing states, and there is some very good news there for the Republicans, let's talk about what's happening at home. This comment from Green Senator Sarah Hansen Young has had many people perplexed. This is earlier today. She seems to think that Donald Trump is going to control content on Australian TV.
Why should Donald Trump, if elected president, get to dictate what content, local Australian content, is on our television screens and our devices?
Is this some new strain of TDS, Paul? What does she mean?
Oh, well, this is, how do I say this? An international nobody trying to play herself into the biggest story in the world by just saying Donald Trump. I mean, this is ridiculous. They used to joke about Republicans when it came to terrorism, that what was it, a noun, a verb, and 9/11. It's exactly the same, but Donald Trump as an example of something to be afraid of. Australia and its parliament can set whatever law it wants to make sure that we have local content rules, pardon me, for Netflix or Amazon or anything else. The idea that we've just said Donald Trump in order to get on the television, you got to feel for Sarah Hansen Young. She's been around politics far longer than Lydia Thorpe, but she's nowhere near as famous.
That is a good point. She must feel a little bit envious, perhaps, looking at the attention Lydia got, particularly with her performance with King Charles, and she was on every TV station in the UK after that. But it's not just Sarah Hansen Young. Not to be outdone, another Greens MP, David Shoebridge, went on an anti-Elon Musk diatribe, and he was proud of his work because he shared the video on Elon's platform, X, ironically, where he called Musk a known threat to democracy. An incredible statement, if you ask me. The left hates Elon Musk now because he backs Trump. He's going to play a part in the Trump administration if Trump does win. Paul, I think we're going to need some sort of group therapy for all these lefties losing it if Trump does prevail.
Oh, hang on. I've just seen the headline in The Guardian. Sky News hosts speculate on re-education camps for non-Trumpers by the mere suggestion. These people need to calm down. They need to relax. One of two things is going to happen at an election. The sky will not fall in. Donald Trump will serve 4 years. If Kamala Harris wins, she will be up for re-election in 4 years' time. The levels of cuckoo in all of this they really frustrate me. And I know that this is something that you are so amazing at. And again, I repeat, fair dinkum, people walk up to me on the street and say, once they see the Sky News microphone, Rita, right? Like, you're a star here, doll, I promise you. Is that they love not just lefties losing it, but also how you call out the American media. And I've got to say, you know, we watch it from afar as often as we possibly can, but to sort of swim in it for a few days is just icky. Like, you have this you know, the blob that doesn't want to be challenged, doesn't want to be changed, that have deliberately turned around and taken things out of context, deliberately found any and everything to become a scandal, while simultaneously completely ignoring the realities of the limitations of Harris as a candidate. I mean, remember, literally 4 months ago, she was the most unpopular vice president the country had ever seen. Lefty shows like The Daily Show did sketches about how terrible her speeches were. And it's, you know, dare I say, like a Kardashian. She's sort of, you know, full of filler and given the right lines and beautiful lighting and all the rest of it that, you know, could make me look attractive. And that's how much money and how much work has gone into her campaign. And when I say attractive, I'm, of course, we're speaking metaphorically about her political positions, not just her soft focus.
No, of course. Now, let's talk about the polls. What's the latest data there? I know you love looking at the polls closely. The swing states particularly. There's a couple of... you love the data. A couple of the polls show that the swing states are looking pretty solid for Donald Trump. What is your assessment? And also, do you think we're going to get a result on election night? Are we going to have an idea of, well, not just an idea, but know who's won?
I'm going to say yes. I really do. I think that this is going to be decisive. And even if the Electoral College is tight, I think it's going to be decisive enough because of the size of the early vote. There's going to be fewer voters than were around in 2020. So I think that we're going to be able to know the obvious, right? Harris cannot win unless she holds all three of the blue wall. If she loses one of the blue walls, she's got to take a North Carolina or a Georgia. The polls, the data predictions, the betting markets, they all say that that's not going to happen, where she's not going to be able to really do much with North Carolina or Georgia. So we'll be able to know, okay, you know, this path is closed and that path is closed. And yes, if we're getting down to one state, well, yeah, theoretically, we could be on a little bit of a run here. But it's really important to look at the polling, the averages of the polling and the election models, right? Now, the election models are all sort of in and around 50-50. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of that is arse covering because they know that there's a whole bunch of people who for the past 8 years have talked about how wrong the polls were in 16. They were worse in 20. And I see no evidence that they're not going to continue to undercount a portion of the Trump vote. So in Real Clear Politics, you know, I think 5 of the 7 states, he is up, and yeah, it might be by, you know, a slice of a percent, or it can be a whole lot higher. As I say, places like Georgia, Arizona, much stronger for him. So if he's being undercounted, as has been the case in 2 previous polls, then I think we'll be able to say certainly who's leading, but I wouldn't be surprised if Trump sees a way to say that he is winning. Of course, the actual votes, well, even after, on a normal election night, they're still counted for a couple of days after. They're not certified. The process doesn't start until December. There's the January 6th thing, and then there's the swearing in on January 20. But yeah, I've got a sense that by this time tomorrow, we're absolutely going to know which direction it's heading, and the only question is going to be the margin.
Well, if that is the case, I suggest you get yourself some security because the last time he won, those blue cities were rioting. Everyone's memory holds that. Remember the riots, even for the inauguration in DC? They caused absolute mayhem there, but no one remembers that.